we're going to start with Missy Graham, who's going to tell us about her journey to diagnosis. So come on up, Missy.
This uneven floor is not my friend. Luckily, walking sticks are. Okay. I'm going to try to leave my glasses off because there have to be occlusion because I have lovely convergent spasms. You know, my eyes decide to go nuts. But my name is Missy Graham, and if I was doing what I normally would be, it would be Sawaite, mihi nomen es mi Magister Graham. I used to be a Latin teacher prior to my head trying to fly off my skull. For some reason, that caused some problems. I'm a mother of 8, 4 homemade, 4 special delivery. I'm a grandmother of 6, and a military wife, and like I said, used to teach Latin at R.B. Stall High School. For any of you know that R.B. Stall is very surprised to have a Latin teacher because that's an inner city school with mostly Hispanic students. I think they're about 60% Hispanic ESOL students and 40% African American. Well, there might be 1% something other than African American there. You know, my daughter was known as the Caucasian Chelsea in the school because there was only one. But yeah, it was a great school. I loved it. It was a lot of challenge and a lot of fun, and I really miss it. So it's been a couple years since I've been in front of people, so I will try to keep my speech down again and remember how to talk slowly. Now, EDS is an invisible disability, and all its lovely side comorbidities are generally invisible as well. So sometimes when you show up with your little handicap placard, like I just went to Universal, and I walk out there like this, they might see my ankle brace, or my gloves because my hands are swelling or something. But unless I happen to have all my braces on, they think I'm a slackerdoodle. I don't need a scooter. Why do I need a scooter? You know, I don't need to use the handicap stalls. I don't need to use people give you the nastiest looks and the nastiest glares a lot of times. What they don't see is the 12 major surgeries I've had, 3 of them spinal, and the rest of my body parts just been fixing along the way. And they don't see, if I have my glasses on, they'll give me the funny looks because they're like, why do you have one of your eyes going? And it's because one of my eyes does not work with my other eye. It goes spastic and does its own little thing, which makes it pretty hard to see. And so they'll give me the funny looks with that. And if I do have all my braces on, it seems like every and their brother wants to know what happened to me and how did it happen. And bless your heart, you'll be just fine and it will be healed immediately. I'm like, it's a genetic disorder. It doesn't go away. And my favorite answer for what happened to me, I just started saying I was bit by a shark. At least shuts them up. You know, I mean, if they're actually generally interested, I'll give them something better. But I really want to start getting some EDS hand cards and just handing them out because it's like people are they don't know what to do when it's something that's a permanent disease. And if I have both my knee braces on, like I was in Hawaii a while ago, thanks to Dr. Scott, giving me a nice injection in my ankle. And I was there, and I climbed up one of the volcanoes there, and a couple other places that I probably shouldn't have gone. But I had my full knee braces on, I had my hip brace on, I had my gloves on, I had my walking canes. I was ready to go, but I looked like I just escaped from an emergency room, you know, in a car accident. And people don't, they stop complaining when you're around you because compared to you, they're doing great. And B, they look at you so crazy because like, why are you still doing stuff and why are you still functioning? So they just don't know how to handle people with disabilities. So you either get the nasty glares if you don't wear all your lovely outfits, or and if you do have your lovely outfit on, the extra supports and stuff, then you get the, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. So yeah, shark answer is a good one. Oh, don't wear your braces through security though. They think, I don't know why they had to swab it for 20 minutes, but I almost missed the flight. There were no major clues that I had problems with as a child, other than the fact that I have 6 inches of medical records saying I had ankle sprains and wrist sprains. No breaks, just sprains. I was military brat, so we changed doctor. We changed facility. There was no follow-up because you kept moving around. But there was nothing else there, just sprain. I broke every dish in my mother's house at least once and bought her new sets for Mother's Day every year because I dropped everything. I had bruises because I walk into everything, but I was just a nerdy klutz. And I was also uninvited from every sports team I ever tried to join. They said, thank you, here's your participation trophy, please go away. You know, I just, coordination was not my thing. So But it's not necessarily like that, because my daughter is a gymnast, and she was level 10 gymnast in the vault and in the beam, even after 4 years of training. So she knows where her body is. Mine just doesn't know where it's at all. I can't tell my left from my right still. So I hit puberty though, and it got worse, and the muscles got, hips started dislocating and stuff. The migraines started showing up. Those are so much fun. Aspartame should never have been invented because it was the first chemical sensitivity I had. I was already reacting to polyester, bad thing to be reacting to in the 70s and 80s. I can't go near polyester. I can't go near wool. Pretty much down to organic cotton at this point. This is about as brave as I get. The ocular migraine started showing up, pressure changes, got the dizzies, got the thing where if I stand up too fast, I started getting dizzy, or I'd pass out or something, but I was normal, right? That's all normal. I never knew that was abnormal because for me, it was my normal. So I was just weird. I was a geek, I was a nerd, I was a supercomputer programmer, whatever. I just stayed in my little book land and I was happy. Didn't it make a major issue until I had children. Pregnancy with EDS is not a good mix for most of us. Some people may be lucky, but after having 4 children, throwing up from weeks 4 to 44, I literally throw up for a month after I have the kids, being hospitalized every single time because of contraction issues, early contractions. They don't do any good, but they still just enough to get you in the hospital and a MAG. And after having low HCG levels, which means they don't believe you're pregnant, even though you're barfing your brains out until they do an ultrasound, and they got to number 4 and they said, that's enough children for you or you'll die. Yeah, because I was literally, my throat has been so torn up, I couldn't talk for 2 months and everything else. Laughing at them as I adopted 4 more, so hey, it still wasn't done. One of them was a student though, so that didn't quite count, right? But yeah, so, the big one, epidurals don't freaking work. For me, anyways. They only numbed half my freaking body. Turns out I was tethered. And I had Chiari. But none of my OBs thought it was anything strange. That the fact that only half my body was numb and the other half was not. And I could never get an OB to put 2 different epidurals in. So by the end, I got baby number 2 and 3 and 4, we just went all natural. They gave me a shot with number 4, it kicked in after I had her. That was then my husband spelled her name wrong. So, it's just, and of course, incontinence, they tell you to do Kegel exercise. What the heck's a Kegel when you're tethered? And they're like, move that muscle. I'm like, there is no muscle. What are you talking about? So that was an interesting experience. I finally learned how to do Kegels after I was detethered at 40 something. Exercise, again, is a catch or miss too, because I finally started doing martial arts, fell on every testing up to my brown belt testing, ended up being a 3rd degree black belt, getting ready for my 3rd degree black belt testing before first life-altering diagnosis was thrown my way. And but every time I got kicked in a sparring match or something, I would end up with bruises this big around, bigger than a dinner plate, because my veins were so crappy that they would just rupture. So 3 vein strippings later, oh, wait a minute, my body starts rejecting the stitches. So then I have dissolvable stitches that don't dissolve. And I have, scars all up and down my legs that are lovely little scars because, of course, they don't heal right. And it was just a total disaster. But they've said if I stopped exercising, though, that would be a total disaster, too, because it still ruptured because there were crap veins. I'm like, but still nothing was wrong. No diagnosis dealing with any of this. It was just, I was just weird. Thanks so much. I'm so used to that one. So that was not much fun. Then somebody decided to be in a hurry and T-boned my 15-passenger van with myself and 6 children in it. I did not roll the van. I still, to this day, do not know how I didn't roll the van because we were on an embankment and it went sideways and there was a pole right in front of me. Somehow I went around the pole and parked it and stopped it. And we thought everybody walked away with just some headaches and whiplash and stuff. 2 weeks later, I was starting to lose control of my muscles, starting to have problems, picking up a can. I couldn't pick up a can of soup. I couldn't just pick it up or anything. And I'm a mother of 6 children, homeschooling mother of 6 children at this point. 4 of those children, again, 3 of those children, 3 that I had then were adopted from children's services with a lot of issues. One of my own is autistic, and then my other 2 children have special needs too. And so I'm trying to, and my husband was a pilot in the Air Force. So I'm a single parent, basically. And then my body starts failing, and I start losing more and more control. Well, they had to do an MRI, but we were in the middle of Timbuktu, Altus, Oklahoma. I don't know if anybody knows what that is, but it's nowhere from anywhere. The red box broke down. The closest one was an hour and a half away. They didn't believe me when I called and said that. And the MRI, the only radiologist in town was on vacation, so they had to bring somebody. He had a friend come down from the city, Oklahoma City, but it's the only city we call, so it's just a city. He has a friend come down. He read my MRI. They found the 2 herniated discs, no big surprise, but they also found I had Arnold-Chiari type 2. They also found out I had syrinxes down my entire spine. So basically, my spine had turned into bubbles because, again, we have crappy little veins that don't hold on to stuff, including the coating of our spinal columns. And it was pushing on all of my little nerves everywhere and making them not function. A couple weeks later, I collapsed in an ER up in Oklahoma City. We were up shopping and I collapsed. And it happened to be the only only doctor in the state who could do a Chiari surgery was in that hospital. And those of you who have scheduled for Chiari decompression surgeries, or my husband calls them mental evacuation surgeries, I call it roto-rootering. You know, for those old people who know what roto-rootering is. Yeah, I was able to have my surgery within 5 days. That's unheard of. But I was that severe, and my spine had gotten that bad that they had my surgery within 5 days. And I died on the table once, coded again afterwards. And I have 6 children. That was rough, as my son will tell you. Afterwards, you don't just bounce back from that. They zipper you back your skull, and they basically cut every muscle you have. Well, we don't have muscles to begin with. So let's cut them all up and see what happens. Hey, they did finally say, maybe you have this weird disease called Ehlers-Danlos. So a couple months later, they sent me, while I'm still recovering from major surgery and whiplash, they sent me to get evaluated by genetics for a thing. They didn't run a blood test or anything. They just did the Brighton test, and he goes, we think you might have it, we think we don't have it, but we don't know. But don't worry, EDS is just, you're just extra bendy if you have it. It doesn't affect your life. Not picking on geneticists, this was 14 years ago in Oklahoma, so. It was a long time ago. So I ended up not getting the diagnosis at that time, and I just kind of wrote it off as whatever. I had too many other things to deal with. My kids were all revolting, my adopted kids especially, because they relied on me because Dad was always gone, and I showed them I could die. They'd already lost parents. So losing another mom basically was not pleasant for the next couple of years. After that, and I had to have carpal tunnel surgery. That didn't work either, because when I was holding onto the wheel, I guess I did so much damage to my wrist that it just shredded them. But they tried to do the carpal tunnel surgery, and I scarred so bad, and I have such a huge amount of scar tissue and stuff, it didn't heal right, that we just said forget it, and just skipped the other hand, and I just dealt with the fact that I couldn't feel my fingers. I didn't feel this hand until Dr. Coco fixed it about a year and a half ago. This hand, still can't feel most of the time. I also ended up with hemiplegic migraines after that. And if anybody's ever had a hemiplegic migraine, think a stroke light. I ended up in the hospital for 2 weeks, but I got in so much trouble because I had to turn in my grades because I was teaching seminary at the time, early morning Bible study. I turned in my grades before I went to the hospital because I was still thinking. I knew it wasn't a stroke, but my doctors didn't agree with me because I couldn't feel one side of my body, and I was kind of limping, and they put me in the hospital for 2 weeks. Turns out they're hereditary. I just found out they're hereditary about a couple weeks ago, but my son showed up with them, and my mom goes, oh, your dad has something called hemophilia migraines. Love my mom. But no, he had hemiplegic. But anyways, so I had to start dealing with those. But I was still happy because I was walking, talking, and I was alive. Yes, the migraines sucked. Which moved out here, saw Dr. Patel for follow-up. We moved out here because the military said we were too much of a medical headache where we were at. It was actually my son's Asperger's diagnosis that moved us here, though, not me. Now, in Oklahoma where I was at, it was 2.5 hours to any doctor. So every appointment was 2.5 hours anywhere. But I ended up moving out here, saw Dr. Patel, do my follow-up, which ended up being a blessing in disguise later. I saw Dr. Pritchard for a while. He retired. I kind of took a vacation from neurology for a while because I was just freaking tired of it. I only saw Dr. Mimi Sung for my migraine shots because Botox is a blessing for hemiplegic migraines. Also keeps you young. I was doing great. I finished 4 degrees, which 1 associate's and 3 bachelor's, and then from college at Charleston all at the same time. And then I started teaching. I was doing great until COVID hit. When COVID hit, I'm a tech guru, so I spent 600 plus hours going through and helping other teachers set up for their stuff online and put my stuff online. And looking up, down, side, up, down. Now, any of you have EDS? What could happen with that? My head started falling off my shoulders, basically. Within the next 6 months, I couldn't remember my students' names, couldn't remember content, couldn't remember anything. Turned out I had CCI, cranial cervical instability, cervical cranial instability. And Jared and Dr. Patel found it. They sent me up to Greenville, and every time I bent my head down, it pinched my spine, my spinal column and my brainstem. Every time I moved my head up, it pinched my spinal column and my brainstem. I still finished teaching the rest of the semester because I was the only teacher in my content area, but my students saw me at home, and I just, whenever I was conscious, I taught. When I wasn't conscious, they did online work. They still finished all their stuff, passed all the national testing, and we kept going. When the day I finished, I collapsed and was just done. The surgeries were great. I've been able to put myself back together. The reality of how much time I lost and how many memories I lost, it's not all back. It'll never all come back. I can't teach anymore because if I get stressed, I can't remember how to talk. That's why I had to stay really relaxed and kind of get low-key about the day, and I was very nervous because anytime I get stressed, I don't remember anything. I shut down. That's my body's way of coping with all the crap I've been through. I don't remember the Latin that I spent all those years learning, and now I have to relearn it all if I want to teach it, ever do anything again. I have 3 credits left in my, 3 classes left to finish my master's degree in English as a second language. 3 classes to finish a master's, and if I don't finish it, I'm going to be very disappointed in myself. But I also have to be able to handle it, and I don't know if I'm there yet. I still have at least 4 more surgeries looking at me, and probably a lot more. I have a lovely power chair at home named Petunia that I use when I can't walk or move and stuff. And I still feel blessed because I've been able to find the doctors I needed, get the care I needed. Dr. Patel was able to fix me within 8 months of me being really bad. That's unheard of. I'm here, I'm walking, I'm talking, and I'm breathing. I'm hoping I'm also the beginning of an end generation. That's the last generation that doesn't know what they have and why they're so weird. My children were able to get their diagnosis quickly. My grandson, I only have 1 bio grandson at the moment. The other 5 are not biological, which is probably a blessing. If he has issues, we know how to get him care. And with doctors like we have speaking tonight, he doesn't look at the future that we have, that I had. I don't want my kids to ever feel weird. I don't want them to feel like there's no reason for why they're falling apart and doctors laughing at them or doctors blowing it off or, sure you have 65 sprains, that's okay. No, it's not, And I really am appreciative though because I've been very blessed in the care I've been able to get. And I hope everybody pays good attention because that's my road to doing a diagnosis and I hope yours is a lot smoother. And thank you very much.